everyone, my name is Ms. Mudlow, and today we're going to be talking about reflections. Now when we talk about reflections, we don't necessarily think about it in the math sense in the first place. First of all, we usually think of what happens in our real life. So if I think of reflection, I would think of when I look in a mirror and I see myself, or I look into some kind of reflective, shiny material and I can see myself as well. So let's just think about what happens when we look into something that offers our reflection. What do we see? What I'm going to have us do is look at these two pictures that I have presented right up here. And what we see in these pictures is we have a girl and a boy looking into their reflection. And what you see is the same exact figure, but it's backwards. So these figures are congruent, but their position is just changed, and it's the complete opposite. And what we see in math is something that is very similar. We see something that is reflected, the exact opposite. We take a figure, and it's the same thing, the position has just changed, and it's gone backwards. And so we have to remember to hold on to what we know about reflection in real life and apply that to math. And so I'm going to use an example of a picture of my first name, which is Jenny, and we're going to reflect it over a line of reflection and see it turn backwards. So if we look on the screen, we can see Jenny, which is drawn on the right-hand side. It was drawn by the point C. And if you look on the left-hand side, you can see Jenny, which is opposite. It's still congruent, it's the same figure, but its position has changed and it's flipped backwards. If we go down to the next figure, we can see that we have a triangle. It has vertices D, E, C. And this triangle is congruent and it's reflected over line AB, and it gives us a congruent figure that is simply reflected. So what we learned about today with reflection is that it actually applies to something we already know from real life. What we do is we take a figure and we reflect it, and what we see is that it's still congruent. It's the same figure, but its position has changed. It is actually flipped and it's backwards. So let's look at a few more examples of something we can see in real life, but looking at the line of reflection, which is something we learned from math. So on the screen we can see that on the left-hand side we have a picture of a tree, and its line of reflection is the ground, and this tree is reflected into the water. This tree is still the same congruent shape, but it is flipped over the line of reflection. The frog on the right-hand side on the top is reflected into the water as well, and his line of reflection is right on the water. Still, once again, we have a congruent figure that is flipped. If we move down, we have an irregular shape, and it starts on the right-hand side, it's flipped over to the left-hand side, and once again, we see that it is congruent,